and welcome back to my garden. I'm sorry I've not been around much over the summer. I'm not very good with the heat. When it's so really hot, the heat really saps my energy and I just don't feel like doing anything. And that's kind of what's happened with the garden. I just haven't felt like being in the garden. And I'm a big believer in if you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. And I just haven't felt like doing it. But I'm hoping that this vlog will get me back into the garden, and I was wanting to do a plot tour today to show you the state of my garden, because I haven't done much work in it for probably about 8 weeks now, and things are still growing, things are still looking good. There are other things that have gone over, like the peas, and I need to take them out, but I'll show you all that when we get going. So come on then, let's go and have a look around. This area here, which is just outside my back door, has had my dahlias here, which I had from bulbs.co.uk, and they have been great. They have brought me lots of joy this year, because the pink of this dahlia here contrasts really nicely with my morning glory plant, which is just by my chicken coop at the end of the garden, and the brightness of the blue against the pink, as well as the red pom-poms and yellow pom-pom dahlias that is in my flower bed, has been so great this year. I've really enjoyed it. And I've never been much of a flower person, as anyone who's watched me for a long time knows. It's all about the veg with me. But this year the flowers have been better for me than the actual veg. I've enjoyed the flowers more, which is a bit strange, but that's how it is some years, isn't it? So growing in this tub here, I've got my French beans, which have done well. We've had a few pickings of them, but I didn't stay on top of harvesting them, and now they've gone over a bit, so they are quite big, and I'm just leaving them so I can save the seed. And then I've got my dahlias here. This one, which is blackjack, has been supported by the beans, and the beans have all collapsed over, so the poor blackjack dahlia has sort of died a death. Well, not died a death, but is not looking great either. And then I've got hostas here as well, which again have not done marvellously, but they're still adding a bit of colour. And then on the other side we've got this pink dahlia, which I think is Frankafta, and this other one, which is really good. And then in the tub I've gotten a stilby, a very poor bay leaf tree, which I didn't plant in enough time. I kind of just left because I wasn't sure where to put it, and then I thought I'll just put it here, and when I went to get it, it had all turned brown and not very good, so that wasn't great. Just to the side of my beans, I've got my sprouts. These plants are doing really well, but I do kind of need to swap the cage over for a taller cage now, because as soon as I take this cage off, I'll really damage the plants to put the cage back on. So I will do that, and I'll swap over the cages. That is one of my jobs I need to do very soon. Next to the sprouts, I've got my Heinz tomatoes and my Shirleys behind. The Shirleys have done really well. We've had a few harvests from them, but the Heinz have yet to ripen, and they're beginning to get a bit of blight on them now. I think it's just because it's late in the season, which is a shame, because last year the Heinz tomatoes were really good, and we got a good, couple of tomato sauces from them to see us through the winter. But sadly, probably not this year. But that's just how it goes sometimes, isn't it? Tomatoes have not been good this year. What has been a success though is this sweet corn and these borlotti beans that are here. The sweet corn has given us quite a few cobs, and even my children, who have never been that fussed on sweet corn, said they want me to grow more sweet corn next year. So I shall do that, and the dwarf borlotti beans I'll harvest and dry, and we can have them over the winter. And the lovage, which is just there, is going really strong as well. sadly, I don't use lovage as much as it's growing. So maybe that's something to look at in the future. Either more lovage recipes or maybe only one lovage plant rather than two. Moving on to the next row, I had cabbages here, but I've planted cauliflowers here now, so hopefully they will be ready before the winter. And my peas, they grew great, but I wasn't here to harvest them. So all the peas I grew, I didn't really get to try any of them. Now I've got loads there that are dried, so we'll have loads of dried peas come the come the winter. I could sow lots of microgreens and things like that and save the seed, obviously. And if anybody wants any seed, there's meteor seed, there's Kent blue seed, and there's sugar snap peas. And the sugar snaps are really nice. They were lovely. But sadly, I wasn't here to harvest them, which makes me wonder whether I'm going to bother with peas next year, because I'm always away when it comes to harvesting them. However, the beetroot that was here has been great. I harvested this whole bed of beetroot and it's been lovely, really nice. And also the cabbages that were here have done well, and I've still got a couple of beetroot left in this bed. So that's good, but this will soon be cleared away and I shall plant something else here. The next row down, we've got some great looking Swedes. I won't open up the netting because I think I'll damage the plants when I put the netting back down. So unless there's something really horrible going on under here, I'm not going to lift it for ages. But hopefully you can have a look through the netting and see the size of the Swedes, which are not bad. They're about a fist size at the moment, so hopefully they'll be okay. I changed my mind. I lifted the cloche very slowly for a very small amount, and I snuck this camera in just so we could see what was happening with the Swedes. And they're not looking too bad. I don't know if they'll grow any bigger than this. They're probably about tennis ball size now, so that's good. And then further along here, we have some terrible looking leeks. I do not know, well, I do know what's happened. They've got black fly. I can see the black fly from here, but I will take the netting off to show you that. And they're looking really sorry for themselves. I'm really disappointed because I thought this year I was going to have no allium leaf miner and I would get some leeks. And instead, I haven't got any allium leaf miner, but I've just got some black fly instead. And the black fly has also gone into the next door's part where I've got the purple sprouting broccoli. And now the purple sprouting broccoli is not looking too great either. It's not so bad. I think it can be rescued, but it's just another example of me needing to build more of these nets so that each segment is individual rather than the pest from the leeks going over to the purple sprouting broccoli. So lesson learned there. That's another job I need to get on with. And in this row here, we have carrots, which are doing really well. They were meant to be for the summer, but I haven't harvested them that much, so we've still got them going. And I haven't planted any for the winter, so once these have gone, that's an end to the carrots. Next to the carrots, I did plant some kale, but something ate them when I wasn't here, and there is a tiny little bit of kale in there, but it's not doing very much at all, so I think I'll probably plant something else here. The celeriac in the bed up from the carrots is looking awful, to be honest. It just hasn't grown. I don't know why it didn't grow, but it just hasn't grown. I've not had celeriac this bad for a while. The only time I had celeriac that didn't grow like this was when there was a mole underneath. But I think maybe this bed had cauliflowers in it, and potentially the cauliflowers maybe took up all the energy and there was nothing left in the compost for the celeriac to feed off. I can't see how that is, but that's the only thing I could think of. And then in this bed here, I've got parsnips. So these parsnips are looking good. Well, You can only tell really by the tops, can't you? But the foliage looks good. So half this bed is parsnip and then the other half is empty at the moment. I'll need to find something to go in there for the winter as well. Well, that's it from the main veg patch. I have got beds dotted around everywhere. We are still getting blackberries going, which is great. And we've just had a new influx of chickens. So we've got 6 more chickens to add to the 4 we already have. So we're now inundated with lots of eggs. This is the morning glory plant that I was saying produces lovely blue flowers, but it's only in the morning, hence its name. But I am really enjoying the colours this year of the flowers. The dahlias in my flower bed have been magnificent. The splash of colour it's given all summer has been great. They do need a bit of deadheading now because I'm not very good at keeping on top of the deadheading, but the colours are gorgeous. And I'm just one of those people who I just like a lot of colour. I know lots of people like the same sort of shade of colour, as it were. So if you go for pinks, you've got different shades of pinks or reds. I just like any colour at all. It's great. It cheers me up. I like a lot of colour. So this border has been magnificent this year. In these beds here, I've got my main crop potatoes. I haven't had any of them yet, but they are ready for harvesting. Somebody has been in here, namely my cat, I think. So I'll have to be careful when I harvest. Not quite looking forward to doing that. And then over here, I have a very unsuccessful kale bed because the kale all got eaten. So I think what happened was I bought them as plug plants from the garden centre and I left them out, and I think I did check them before I planted them, but I think only one or two, a couple of eggs were left on them, and they just went from plant to plant and devoured them all. So sadly, hopefully the kale will come back. You can see some of it growing back, but I had hoped it would have been in a bit of a better state to show you at the moment. But in exciting news, just behind me, I was given a free greenhouse. So I'm going to plant that next to my other greenhouse at the bottom of the garden. And hopefully we'll have some success next year with some tomatoes and peppers and what have you, which I've yet to show you. But yes, I'm looking forward to assembling this. I just need to put a concrete base down and then I can put it all back together and get this glass off the floor because it's stressing me out a bit. I'm worried that either the children are going to walk on it or something's going to crash into it and it's going to all break all the glass. So the sooner that job gets done, the better. Here are my lovely Hebes, which I was given at the start of the season by Linda from the Feel Good Garden. And they've grown really well. I'm hoping to put them around the front by my fruit trees just to give that area a bit of a splash of colour. But I'm really happy with how they've grown. And the pots behind, I just need to clear away because they had the garlic growing in them and I just haven't got round to clearing them. So that's another job I need to do in the very near future. Can you believe it? I just got rained off. Do you reckon someone up there is telling me to make this vlog a bit shorter? Well, I shall try and wrap it up then as quickly as possible. But I'm back now. The sun is out at the moment. So let me continue showing you what I've got going on at the moment. So here are the pots I was telling you that have been full up with just spent compost since I harvested my garlic in May, June time. So I really need to clear those. And then behind me is sort of the last main veg patch I've got going. So I've got my runner beans and they've been good. I'm saving them for drying beans so I can use them in the winter. And then next to the beans, I've just got an empty teepee, which the lovely Ali from the Right Pear Plot kindly sent me some Greek gigantes beans, and I never got round to planting them. So I'll have to plant them next year. She sent me 4. She also sent me a big pack of peas as well, which was really kind of her. Thank you, Ali. and that's what that teepee was going to have, but I never got around to doing it. Then there's my very poor gherkin looking A-frame kind of contraption. And we did have some gherkins from there, but they were bitter. They weren't very nice at all. So I'm going to rethink gherkins and cucumbers next year. I might not do them at all because they just haven't worked for us this year. And on the whole, they tend to not work for me than work for me. So whether I give up the space for them, I don't know. But I'll think about that over the winter. And then I've got the beetroot here, which doesn't look very great because the leaves all got eaten by my chickens, who I will leave like roam around the garden at certain times. And they made a beeline for my beetroot and my spring onions. So my spring onions are now just onions because they bulbed up quite a bit, but have no greenery on them. And and I've got my tomatoes and courgettes in here. So my tomatoes, they've not been great either this year. They didn't start off very good either. I held them too long before planting them out, just because I didn't have the space clear. And I think it stunted them. So overall, my tomatoes have been a bit of a nightmare this year. And my courgettes have been good, actually. I've got the ones here and the one on the compost heap. And they've been continually giving me a crop from them. So that's good. We haven't had like massive gluts, but we have had, you know, like you do with courgettes, a constant influx of them then. So that's what's going on in this area. And then just to the back of this growing area, we've got some hazel leaves and branches that I need to chop up in the chipper. And then this was one of my purchases for this year, was this Autopod growing tray, which has done its job. Again, these tomatoes were a casualty of me not really sorting myself out sooner, but they are just beginning to give us something now. And they do look nice tomatoes. But like everything really, all my tomatoes never really got above 4 feet. So you can see that, you know, this is like a 5 foot, 6 foot frame, and they've only just got up to about here. So that's not ideal, but it is what it is, isn't it? This is what this year has been. And then if we come across to the straw bales, I've not really looked after this very well this year. I haven't fed the plants as much as I should have done. The start of the plants is like here, and usually I put feed around here, but I haven't done this year, so we haven't had a very good crop. However, there is one there, and now that I'm looking, there is a squash there, and there is something there, but sadly no crown prince as far as I can see. There is something trying to grow here, but in all honesty it's far too late in the season for that. And the courgettes that are growing in this heap I just showed you. Just before we head into the greenhouse, I thought I'd show you this border, which was kind of another flower border, but I put rhubarb in it this winter just gone, and it seems to be taken over now, although there are lupins that I need to clear away and some foxgloves. And then in the back, the tayberries here, I need to cut out all the old ones and restring the new ones. And it's quite easy to see which ones are old because they have the remnants of the fruit on them. So that's sort of like a nice job to do on a autumnal day. And then we'll come into the greenhouse, which again has not really been very good this year. These plants here, I think there's one Shirley, and these are called beefsteak. Where's the camera going? Over there. Right. These ones are beefsteak, and this one back here is Shirley, I believe. And they've not been too bad, but nowhere near an abundance of anything. My aubergines, like always, have not done anything whatsoever. I might have to just give up growing aubergines, not entirely sure. And then my peppers, they are looking good. They just don't seem to be ripening. So they're, they're not a bad size. And there's some that have ripened back here, but then they are small. So it's sort of like, well, you either get a large green one, like here, or a really small sort of ripe one like there. But now I'm in here, I can see that there are a few that need harvesting. If my thing would just focus, there we are. So it has been good, but again, this has been happening a lot with these ones, these type as well. So that's not really great. But there are some on here. If they would just ripen, they'd be great. But whether it's too late in the season to ripen, I don't know. And then my tigerilla, these have been good. The tigerilla in this corner and next to it have done quite well. We've had quite a good harvest of these. And then if I sweep around here again, aubergines never really got going. Not quite sure why, but that's how they were or have been. And then this is Golden Sunrise, and this has been a nice tomato. We've had a couple off here. But again, it's been, 2 per truss or 3 per truss. Not like an abundance. And I did have some. This is Sweet Million. This Sweet Million plant, which is an F1, they have done well. We have had a few of them. But again, nowhere near as other years. So it's just been a bad year for me for tomatoes and cucumbers. And then just coming down to the end of here, we've had a few, different kinds of tomatoes here. This was sent to me by Ali from the Rusty Garden. It's Lucid Gem, I believe. We did have some big ones of here, but everything's coming to a bit of an end now. And this basil I need to harvest and dry, so we've got some for the winter. And these tomatoes in the corner here, these have done well. I can't remember the name of them. I think they begin with a B. Burlesque. These have done well. There's a couple there. Hopefully they will ripen before the end of the season. And they have been nice. So we're almost there. I haven't got much else to show you. We'll just pop round to the front garden and I'll show you what I've got going on there. And then that'll be it, honest. So we just come into the front garden now. I've still got my Atlas carrots growing in here, the round ones. But they're probably not much good now, in all honesty. Shall I pick one and see what we've got? Yeah, look at that, look. Not much use there, is there? Let's see. Well, I might get a bit of a feed off there. But I need to harvest them quite soon. And then got a nice self-seeded lemon balm here. My tomatoes up here, surprisingly, have begun to make more tomatoes. Well, grow more tomatoes. Have I got any to show you? So you see they started to put flowers up again. So I'm not entirely sure why that's happened. But maybe you can see from here, getting these. And these plants are my 2-year-old plants that I didn't really give a very good start to. And then I potted them on not that long ago into these 5 litre tubs, and now they're coming really good. So not quite sure what to say about the strawberries and why they are doing that, but we'll take what we can get. And then if I come over to the mini greenhouse, I've got all my onion harvest in here. So yeah, we had a really good onion harvest. I was really pleased. Onions have been great this year. Beetroot has been great this year. Cabbages, brassicas of any kind have been good. Sweetcorn has been good. So you can't complain. We've had some good treats from the garden. And then just down at the bottom of my mini greenhouse, there is some pepper plants grown, but they've not done very good in here. So hopefully next year, when I have my other greenhouse up and running, I might not plant that in there. More wood for chipping when I get a chance. And then over here, I've got mint that I need to harvest there. The asparagus is still just, hanging on in there. And then in the front here, we've got some red cabbage up here, which is just sort of like come into its own, really. It's grown so much in the last 2 weeks. And then here's some broccoli. So I'm hoping this will be good. I need to swap these over now for those cages from the back garden whenever I get a chance to do that. And then the sweet corn in this bed didn't do as well as the ones in the back garden. The cobs didn't really bulk up very much. So I haven't harvested that many of them, and now it looks like it's gone over. Yeah, see, so it only really grew up to about there, so that wasn't really great. More red cabbages here. Got 3 there, but the one in the middle flourished, and the 2 on the end were replacements for ones that I did plant the same time as this middle one. So hopefully this middle one won't shadow out or shade out those smaller ones, but you never know, do you? And then up here, this is where I had my cucumber plants in the front and my butternut squash plants at the back. But the butternut squash have become dominant and my cucumber plants just shriveled up. There's not even a sign of them. There was one here and it's just gone. And the Cape gooseberry here, 3 Cape gooseberry plants here. These have done really well. We've had quite a nice little harvest from them. So I'll be sorry to have to take them out, but they'll have to come out soon because they won't survive out here in the winter. And then just back here, there's some more butternut squashes. The rhubarb and soft fruit area out the front is dying back down now for the winter. I'm hoping I'll get some sort of water feature in here during the winter, as I was inspired by the leak we had here last year. But hopefully I'll get a water feature in there soon. If I just come up the garden a little bit along this fence, we have got some grapes. So I do need to harvest these and make some wine out of them. They are lovely sweet grapes. They just got pips in them. And in this day and age, my children are like, no, we're not having anything with pips in. They're so used to having seedless grapes now. So sadly, they will just have to go for wine, but hopefully they will make us some delicious wine. Some more beetroot in these beds and more grapes towards the back here. And then a lovely colour of dahlias. There was an orange one as well, but now the yellow one seems to have sort of become dominant of them. My fruit trees, not worth talking about. It's got some celeriac in this bed. Again, not doing terribly well. We'll probably have to use about 4 or 5 celeriac to make like the equivalent of 1, but never mind. Got some nice nasturtiums here for pesto. More beetroot there. And then if I gently come around here, I need to clear out this and plant something in it. It had pansies in it, but they've gone over. This is all parsley, which is fine. It just has been beaten down with the rain, but it's fine. We have some parsley every now and again when I feel like harvesting it straight for the dishes. The raspberries are more or less gone over now. There are 1 or 2 that are still going strong. And these have been delicious. They've been really lovely. So now that I'm looking, I can see there are still some for harvesting. The blueberries down here. Well, these 2 plants are doing well, and these 2 plants not so well. It's nothing to do with the weeds. They didn't do very well at the start of the season, so I'm not sure what to do about them. And then this homemade cold frame has just, like, I don't know, since I said I was getting rid of it, it's kind of done the job for me. Although I don't really want to get rid of it straight away, but it's quite handy because we can now look in here. So there were melons growing in my autopod system at the back there, which haven't come to any, but that's not really surprising because this cold frame wasn't really working. But the chilies that are here, they're going really well. And I think I'm going to rip out the aubergines in the back garden and put these chili pots in there. Because look at that just needs to ripen. So I reckon if I put them in the greenhouse at the back, in the back garden, hopefully they'll get a chance to ripen. I just found one of the strawberries I was looking for to show you. Honestly, it is. It's got dirt on it and everything. So yeah, we're still getting some strawberries, which is bizarre, but very welcome. And that is it for my tour today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall leave you with some shots of me trying to film this vlog and my camera dying, or the gimbal dying, when I was on a roll, as we should put it. But apart from that, all I can say about the tour today is lovely job, and do take care everybody, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. So I'm just saving the seed, so I'll either dry the seed and that's been a success. Even my children, who are not that fussed on sweet corn, have enjoyed this sweet corn and asked me if I would grow more next year. The washing is getting on my nerves. Moving on to the next row. It just hasn't grown. I don't know why. It hasn't really bulbed up. I'm not quite sure what has happened to it, but for some reason it just hasn't got going. Are better than they normally are. They're a bit more red. My dahlias added such a splash of colour to the garden.